stopped playing for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Um, it is Wednesday. We are live at the comic shop, but my music just stopped. I've been having issues with connectivity today, maybe because of the weather. It's quite rainy, and interestingly, because it's so rainy, I said to myself, "Oh, I'm gonna get so much done today. I'm gonna put up signs that I've been meaning to put up now. I'm going to put up art. I'm gonna maybe price some stuff. I'm gonna get shit done." And despite the rain, yeah, new comics for real this time, Dave. Despite the rain, I had people in like all day. Thank God. Again, not complaining. This is what we need as a business. As a business, I need to be busy like this all the time. But it is tricky now that I'm trying to finally do the last bits of the rearrange and get art up and get all that stuff up, that I never have a spare moment to do that stuff. So, not upset, but I apologize. I know yesterday I said I'm going to try and come early on and do today's live stream and show off all the stuff, and I did not get a chance. This is the first time basically all day that there's no one here. I was going to start about 10 minutes ago with the live stream. I had hoped to start around 6:55. I was getting it all set up, and then Joey, who was helping out in the back, our fearless editor of videos, who also helps alphabetize in the Dollar Room, came out and got his weekly books, and we schmoozed a little bit. So we're starting. It's around 7:08 now. We're going to look at quite a few books because we have last week's Diamond Delivery and this week's Diamond Delivery. The only thing we're missing right now is Image. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not missing any comics, because there are loads of comics that came out this week that we just didn't get. I had a few people ask me about titles that we just didn't order because there's just too much coming out. We've got the new Ultimates. We got the Martian Manhunter #1 reprint for the Absolute. So now we've got issues 1 and 2. Absolute Flash 3, Satana 4, New God 6. Then our #1s, Dark Regards. That's the Andrew Cronky cover. Our customer Andrew do a great cover for this really fun dark metal kind of book. Hopefully we'll get him to sign them soon. We got Giant Size Wacky Racers, the A cover. This is an amazing story, in my opinion. We got the C cover that a customer ordered like 3 weeks ago, and everyone was online going, "What happened? Where's the A cover? We got all our other covers. No A covers, no A cover." Because the A cover, every box of the A cover of this book, every box of this Giant Size Wacky Racers Michael Linzer A cover were sent to England. Diamond UK, a subsidiary, not really a subsidiary, a company that Diamond works with, got every single one of these covers, and they had to be shipped back. Godzilla, Here There Be Aliens. This is Frank Thierry and Angel Hernandez's third miniseries. The first one dealt with Godzilla and pirates, and then was almost a direct sequel, and now this is sort of a time skip to a, I think, 50s or 60s Godzilla story. Hulk and Doctor Strange. This is the J. Michael Straczynski team-up books. Now, very strange to me is these books have been like weird team-ups. They have Nick Fury and Fing Fang Foom. They had, I think I'm out of, they had Rocket Raccoon and Doctor Doom. They had Volstagg, the Warriors 3. But these two guys, this is just half the Defenders. The Defenders were the Hulk, Silver Surfer, Doctor Strange, and Namors. This is just half of them, but okay. The Killer, Matz's amazing, exceptional book. I think he's Belgian. Got a sequel, Affairs of the State. I think there's a movie coming out soon. So we got the first of that. Robo-Wolf, Jake Smith, if you remember, did the art of Godzilla series that our friend Andrew McLean wrote. He has this really great cartoony style, really wild color choices, and he's got his own, what are we going to call this? Psychedelic punk kind of book. Just came out this week. Speaking of psychedelic, we've got the great Care Andrews doing Spider-Man and Wolverine teaming up. The only issue I have with some Care Andrews books is that the writing can be a little bit as off the wall as the art sometimes, but in this, Mark Guggenheim is writing this one. So Mark Guggenheim is coming in and giving it his classic, very straightforward superhero book, and then Care doing the amazing art on it. Benjamin J. Grimm gets his own series yet again. The only member of the Fantastic Four to have his own series numerous times. Thing number 1 by Tony Fleeces. I can't pronounce it well. And I forgot Mason's first name, but very classic superhero adventure. Steve Orlando continues his Scarlet Witch miniseries with Vision and Scarlet Witch. Each of the series sort of work alone, but they do add on to each other layer by layer. Second, Great British Bump Off by the wonderful John Allison and Max Sarin. Second, Red Sonja versus the Army of Darkness. Third, Zootopia. And a Toxic Avenger pinup special. I love this idea. Pinup special. It's literally, they had 4 issues of Toxic Avenger, maybe 5. They each had tons of covers. Here are all the covers collected, and we're calling it a pinup special. Love it. Great little variant for West Coast Avengers. Vatican City, the new issue of Vampirella, the new issue of Sonic versus DC. We sold out. I would have this next to Zootopia, but we sold out of the second printing of number 1. But we have a third printing of number 1 coming soon. Second issue of Red Sonja Attacks Mars. Third issue of Out of Alcatraz. Nightwing 126. Second issue of this Francavilla drawn little crime story. Third issue of Mothra by Sophie Campbell. Moon Knight, Alex Ross cover. Last issue of Jim Henson Presents. 9th issue of I Heart Skull Crusher. And Fantastic Four number 32. Second to last issue of this run. This run of Fantastic Four ends at 33. And then issue number 1 starts again. Same writer, new artist. We do have the Frank Quitely cover for Superman Unlimited. Superman Unlimited is the only comic on these shelves. It's not the only comic, but it's the only comic on these shelves that I read last night. Wonderful Rafael Albuquerque art. I have a few questions about some of his choices for Superman. It's certain angles and things that he did, but very interesting. To me, this book is clearly the book you're supposed to read after the movie. This book is like so in the tone and vein of everything we've seen about this new upcoming Superman movie. As much as you can read Supergirl, obviously, which is tremendous, or Action Comics, or Batman, Superman, all things which are doing big events right now. This one is, I mean, look, there's James Gunn on the cover. There's Crypto on like not every, but almost every cover. This is the Superman book that we're supposed to hand to people who like the movie. We will be doing that. Now let's go look at new books that I never showed you before. I was supposed to show you these new books yesterday, and I didn't because we got a delivery from Diamond. Now, again, that delivery from Diamond really only has 2 new books that I didn't have yesterday, but I was also hoping, really hoping, to have the Alison Bechdel Spent copies here, and they did not arrive. So we're still waiting on Alison Bechdel Spent, but let's look at what else is new this week. 10th anniversary edition of Nimona, maybe 15th, really beautiful special shiny cover, painted edges, about 60 pages of bonus content. I did not restock Nimona when we ran out a couple weeks ago for that very reason. Kaiju Max Volume 2. This is miniseries 3 and 4 of the 6 miniseries that made up the greatest kaiju satire series of all time, Kaiju Max. I actually just sold out of Volume 1 to a customer, but we will be reordering it because it is just wonderful. Look at this. Look at this sad little monster. Oh, this guy's super creepy. That's his dad. Anyway, absolutely read Kaiju Max if you can. Suitor Armor. Oh, another webtoon. 2nd volume of Suitor Armor. 5th volume of Life Lessons with Uramachi Onisan. Hilarious manga about a guy who's on a children's program doing all the physical fitness stuff, encouraging kids to be active, but is a super depressive loser outside of it. Arsene Schwarren, O. Schwarren's collection from Fantagraphics. This came out years ago and in a hardcover and has now been recollected. All sorts of great psychedelic, trippy little comics about all sorts of aspects of life, brilliantly laid out. Whoa, all sorts of aspects of life, as you can see. That's one of the ones that came today. The History of Jerusalem, an illustrated story of 4,000 years. I have a lot of problems with this book, frankly. I don't really want to get into it much. Beautiful art, a great overview of where Jerusalem has shown up in history. It even starts by going through all the mythological places, Judaism, Islam, that Jerusalem is mentioned, that we don't necessarily have the historical antecedents to. My problem is that it goes out of its way to point out that stuff when it really doesn't need to. Whatever. But a beautiful book. If you don't understand how central Jerusalem was to so many different things that happened at the turn of the century, the turn of the millennia, right? The AD to Common Era. This book will definitely help with that. Speaking of great books, Bryce Carlson and Vanessa Del Rey's wonderful series Hit, 2 miniseries, both collected here. One of the best little tight crime series ever made. Night Drive. This is the other book that came today with our Diamond Order. Wonderful Richard Sala book that has been out of print for about 15 years. It was originally made in like 1980. Well, it says 1984 here, but I think the comic came out in 85 or 86. Really tremendous horror, humor. This is this week. Raymond Chandler's Trouble is My Business, adaptation of the famous Raymond Chandler book by the great Arvin Ethan David, who has done so many noir and crime books, and Elias Carrazas, who's beautiful. Restock of A Tale of Princess Kaguya art book, really one of the most beautiful Ghibli films ever made. And Mickey Mouse and the Amazing Lost Ocean, that's a Fantagraphics reprinting of I think Italian creators, Mickey Adventure. Again, I really love that Fanta is coming out and making all these beautiful, stunning, painted Disney stuff finally available in English. That's the new stuff. Again, I really can't explain to you how little that is in comparison to everything that's been coming out. So many comics. Go to almost any major comic website, social media, like a big store, Kamikaze in Minnesota, Midtown Comics, Mile High, any of these places that are really big and have a huge range of stuff, and you will see so many books. There's at least a dozen books that we only got for hold list customers, probably even more of that with single issues, and there's just too much coming out, and we don't have the cash flow to even handle it, let alone the readership to support it. I made a post about this on social media Monday, I think, and it was, or Tuesday morning, it was very misunderstood, where people were like, well, you don't have to read everything. And I said, I'm not talking about reading everything. I'm talking about as a store stocking everything. You can't. It's frustrating because people come in and they want a certain book, and after talking to them, you realize that's the only book that they know that handles X, Y, and Z. They're unaware that there's 6 other books that handle X, Y, and Z coming out right now, and hundreds that have happened in history. So I'm really kind of trying to walk that line. We also did get, I mentioned this yesterday, we got a humongous trade-in, which I put out. I told customers that they could peek through and check out. Tomorrow we will make a post showing it all off for people to come and grab. But for now, I am going to, well, like I said, it's been a busy day. I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I'm definitely not going to start putting up signs and art and all that stuff with 30 minutes, 40 minutes. What time is it? 40 minutes left to being open. Abdul, I don't know if you're still there. You asked which is my favorite. I don't have any favorites when it comes to new books. I have lots of stuff I love. This actually, I'll end with this story because I was asked this not just here, but online. Yesterday, a cartoonist had a really bad take. He made I don't know, because 80% of what I saw was people's responses to this bad take. I wasn't happy with everyone's takes on the take, but from what I gathered, it was complaining about creators getting attention and awards and things that it's really only happening because of their race or their identity, let's say. Whereas if you're white, you can't get that. Blah blah blah. A lot of people try, and I said, look, you're all on here. This is Blue Sky. You're all on here constantly talking about movies that you love, or this musician, or all this politics, all this stuff, and you barely ever talk about comics. Yet, when someone makes a bad take in comics, you're all like defending comics. You're naming all the people that you love, and you're telling what a bad comic that was, and talking about why the panels are no good. And what, like, why don't we do that more often? Why don't we just talk about comics that are good and talk about why the panels are? Because again, not that I'm the one always doing that, but that is what I try to use my social media for. And someone called me out right away and said, "Okay, so what's good? Tell us what's good." And I said, "Okay." And I just did three. The new Alison Bechdel, which we still don't have, Spent, amazing. I've read previews of it. It's brilliant. I mentioned Kelly Thompson because she's the only consistent part on it. Birds of Prey, a great Romero on the first run with Jordi Belair on the colors, and then Javier Pina, Gavin Guidry on the second storyline. But this is tremendous. And Absolute Wonder Woman, it's also being written by Kelly, as well as, which I don't actually have any in stock because we sold out of it recently, Gendo Cybene by our friend Sarah Horrocks. That's an incredible thing. And there's all this different stuff and all these different styles that is just wonderful and amazing. And it's not hard to find great comics to talk about. So come on down, get some great comics. Until tomorrow, remember, damn it, babies, you gotta be kind.